Fred Nahat from Detroit Public TV, Senior Vice President of Production. I want to welcome you all here on behalf of everybody at Detroit Public Television, Michigan State, MSU Extension, our partners, and of course, Children's Hospital of Michigan Foundation. We're very excited to have you here for the launch of this new free television channel dedicated 24/7 to kids programming, Detroit PBS Kids. So thanks again for coming out this morning. We're going to give you a preview of the new kids channel. We're going to talk about the importance of preschool and the role that the community will play in this service that is the only free children's television station available. Quick housekeeping note, we are using the hashtag Detroit PBS Kids if you want to join the conversation on Facebook or Twitter. So let's get started. To do that, Detroit Public TV President and CEO, Rich Homburg. Rich.
Thanks, Fred. Good morning, and thank you for being here. What an important day for us. What an important room. Boy, it's great to see so many of our partners out there. I think, is Ed Deeb in the room? Right. Kids in Detroit and Michigan State University, you know Ed would be here. Larry Burns in the room somewhere, Children's Hospital of Michigan Foundation, who's helping us to launch the channel. Just a room full of wonderful people. Thanks for taking the time to be here and be part of it. For the staff and board of Detroit Public Television, it's a pleasure to introduce you today to Detroit PBS Kids, our new 24/7 channel dedicated 100%, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to kids and school readiness and all the things that we need to do together. It's a completely new approach to public television that's bringing together a whole new mindset around channels, around streaming, around apps, around everything we need to do to partner with this community. I gotta tell you, we're 2.5 years into this and couldn't be more excited. Tara Hardy's gonna talk to you later, and she talks about superpowers. And if you put a cape on a kid and you talk about superpowers, you say, what's your superpower? People say, little kids say things like, my superpower is I'm a friend, or I can jump real high, or I'm fast, or I'm smart, or I love numbers. And so inside our building, we find ourselves talking about superpowers. And so think about your own superpowers. We all have them. But if you line up the superpowers of PBS and all the assets and their approach and the trusted relationship America has with PBS, and if you line up the superpowers of a land-grant university with an incredible extension services group, and if you line up the superpowers of the only public television station in Southeast Michigan, pretty good set of superpowers. And so along the way, you work with folks like the Detroit Public Schools, and we see an opportunity there, and you work with foundations and the Children's Hospital of Michigan Foundation. We think there are a lot of superpowers we can align here, and we're really excited about the opportunity. So as I said to the Extension Services folks this morning, along the way, you're gonna say, they don't get it quite yet. When you don't get it quite yet, call us, because we're all in on this project. So 2.5 years ago, Lesli Rotenberg approached me and said she was talking to a group of stations about where we could go together, and she showed us research about how kids really use media and where media was headed, and suggested, what if we created a 24/7 channel? But not just that, what if we streamed it, put it on every device in every home? What if that smartphone became another outlet for Detroit Public Television? What if we used the apps in a whole new way? And so we've been working for 2.5 years with PBS. About a year ago, we went to Michigan State University and said, we think there's something unique here. And if we start with Detroit, you're at a television station in Lansing, but if we really concentrate on Detroit, we'll bring KR in, and KR will bring us in, great relationship there. But if we start with Detroit, what could we build together? And so today, it all comes together in that. It's terrific, honestly, it's exceptional. I always know in our business that we're in the right spot when you don't need to hear a lot from me, because our staff has it all together. But I'd like to bring up President Luanda Simon from Michigan State University. What a great leader. When you call Michigan State, I got a grad, Fred's got a sophomore, you all have lots of Spartans in the room. What do you want from a university but that ability to partner and serve and get enthused about ideas? And so President Simon's going to come up and talk to us a little bit about university and where we're coming from. I get to say, who will help kids get ready for school with Detroit Public Television and PBS? Spartans will. Okay.
Thank you very much. I think we made this announcement a bit about we were going to sort of work together on behalf of kids, not just in Detroit, but around the state, and hopefully with the technology around the world, because these apps can work anywhere with the streaming. We also wanted to be sure that we had a values synergy so that we were giving the best to children, no matter where they lived and no matter what they did. And oftentimes, Michigan State in Detroit is invisible, except for a little sign here or there because of our work with the schools through extension and their work in communities. Because it's all about being with people, using the energy of people to make a difference for people, using the intellectual content that we might bring, and that same kind of passion. So this idea really was one that just took off. And for those of you who work with universities or with organizations, you might have been surprised at the speed at which this took off, because it sometimes takes a long time to make those connections and to think about what we're doing. But this is a design and build together. A design and build together. Building on assets and strengths and building on shared passion. We're excited about these opportunities. We're also excited to make sure that as we move out these apps, because we're using a tablet model for children in Lansing, that we do the research, the understanding, so we can just simply make it better all the time. Because the ultimate goal is kids who are more resilient, they're smarter, they build their sense of curiosity, and they think about themselves not because someone else put a cape on them, because they can put a cape on someone else to be able to make their school, their neighborhood, a better place. So we often think about at Michigan State about citizen scholars, global citizen scholars. And the idea is that everyone can be curious. And we need to sponsor that curiosity. But we also need to move that to discovery. And discovery isn't just simply a fancy drug that we often see, but the kinds of discoveries by using the power, that superpower, that lets people change the environment around them, change the trajectory of their lives and others. It is also simply about developing talent for the 21st century. That has relevance today because they can make whatever test, whatever exam, but they can see that power to make a difference for tomorrow. Not just to be adaptive, but to help change and bend the curve in very positive ways. And with that, they'll embrace the idea that universities like Michigan State were built on, to be that land-grant citizen scholar. Because it's not simply about your prosperity or your quality of life as we think about education as instrumentality now, but it's about using that power for others, that superpower. This partnership sets the stage for more and more children, regardless of where they live, regardless of who's around them that might care, because they have the power within that streaming to move and find all those friends around the city, around the world, who can support them in their endeavors. And it just augments the work of so many in this room who are so passionate about making a difference for Detroit, for all Detroiters, not simply for a few. And we're really pleased to be a part of it.
Thank you. President Simon, go green. Thank you. You didn't disappoint me. While we love the name Detroit PBS Kids, this channel, this station is much about parents, caregivers, early childhood experts as it is about kids. So we promised you some nutritional value and some panels, and now the first one's upcoming, panel one. The road to academic success begins in early childhood with a quality preschool education. Our first panel is focused on the importance of preschool, the unique needs here in Detroit, and some research and engagement that's been taking place here in our region. Moderating the discussion is our Senior Vice President of Content and Engagement, Georgianne Herbert. Georgianne.
Thank you, Fred. Good morning. Good morning. It was in this room just about a year ago this week that we announced our partnership with Michigan State University and the idea that we were going to launch a 24/7 children's channel. And it's been a really whirlwind year since. I've gotten to make some really great connections at the university and learned so much more about MSU and its contributions to the state and the incredible activities that are underway and the great scholarship that really supports the effort. Coming as a girl from Virginia, my colors were not green and white, just so you know. Blue and orange, yes. But anyway, the other thing that happened, and in January last year was kind of instrumental in a couple of other ways, and one really important thing was that the Kresge Foundation and the Kellogg Foundation and the Community Foundation of Southeastern Michigan had collaborated with a group out of Chicago called IFF on a study of early childhood needs in Southeast Michigan. And there's to oversimplify the findings of that report, the report found that there are approximately 210,000 children in Southeast Michigan in the three-county Wayne, Macomb, Oakland area that are in the ages of 3 to 5, prime preschool range. A third of those children are being cared for at home. They will always be at home, cultural reasons, whatever. They are being receiving their training at home. Another third are enrolled in some form of preschool or daycare. But if you go deeper in the data, it will tell you that a lot of times those preschools and daycare are really more custodial than they are educational. And then there's another third of children, another 70,000 children roughly, who are looking for a preschool slot and aren't able to find one or aren't able to be placed. So as we talked to Michigan State and we talked about how we can use media to build resiliency and how we can partner around content and how we can work effectively with Susie and David from probably David, the Dean of the College of Arts and Communications, Arts and Sciences, sorry, at MSU about how we could work together. This idea that the 24/7 channel, as we launch it, Detroit PBS Kids, fills an important need. That at least there's an opportunity by reaching in the home each and every day to provide some resources for kids. It's a really important and critical time in kids' lives. And as we get into this discussion, I wanted to allow our panelists to introduce themselves. Sonia Gunnings-Moten is an Associate Dean?
Assistant Dean. I'll take the promotion right here and now. Did you hear that, President Simon?
Also assistant to the president.
Senior advisor to the provost as well for Detroit and Urban Partnership Initiatives.
And your background?
I'm actually a psychologist by training. So I come at this whole vision about early childhood development primarily focused around issues of mental health development. But as a teacher educator, I provide leadership in our college for preparing the next generation of educators who aspire to serve in urban contexts. And we actually do the training of teacher candidates at Michigan State University right here in this classroom that you are sitting in now.
And on the other side is someone we've been collaborating with for a long time. We've been working really since the beginning of our early childhood efforts with the United Way for Southeastern Michigan. And Jenny Callens.
Hi, so I am the director of Bib to Backpack for United Way for Southeastern Michigan. That's everything that we do in early childhood, including numerous partnerships with DPTV. We've got work with Michigan State. I am an anthropologist, so I come at this from a community building perspective. It's obvious to me that we all need to be in this work together, that parents need to understand that they're part of a system and we're here to help all of them. So my approach is really to integrate all of the bodies of work that we have at United Way to make sure that there should be a seamless system, that it's intuitive to navigate. So at United Way, we have a lot of different things that are part of Bib to Backpack, but they're all driving at the same thing, making sure that adults are prepared to take care of our kids so that our kids are valued, healthy, and thriving.
Well, we were talking the other day, and I want to go back to the IFF study for just a minute, because we talked about the fact that there's a sense of wanting to say all these issues are in Detroit. And that's not the case. And if we could put up the slide, this is actually from the AFF study. And it identifies the areas of need in Southeast Michigan, and the darker the blue, the greater the need. This is really important, and you see this in your own work, right?
So United Way for Southeastern Michigan, we work in the Tri-County area, and we do see that there are pockets of great need across our region, and this gets to the point that this is a regional issue to solve, and that's part of the reason we're glad to partner with DPTV. Their reach is so significant that, you know, anything we do, wherever the focus is, we're going to be getting to more people.
And Sonia, why is this such an important age?
Well, I remembered looking at these slides initially, and I was struck by how much it was indicative to me of a national challenge that we have for children and families, and particularly poor children and families. This findings and the research about our children and families living in poverty is pretty staggering. When we know that 1 in every 3 of those who are poor in our country are children, we're concerned. And when we know that the younger they are, the poorer they are, we're even more concerned. 1 of every 4 children in our country is living in poverty. When we know that poor preschoolers are less likely to recognize their letters, count to 20, write their first name, we're concerned. And when we know that income gap disparities related to cognitive skills can be observed in babies as early as 9 months of age, we're concerned. And so this initiative around early childhood that has been launched here, in my opinion, is not only critically important, we're talking about a game changer. And we're talking about why it is so critically important that all of us and all of the partners in this room mobilize ourselves to address this. Some of us are moved by this because it's a moral imperative. For people like myself and colleagues at Michigan State, it is a moral imperative. For some, that's not sufficient. So know this. Child poverty is related to issues of worsened health care, reduced academic achievement, crime, and other psychosocial stressors that impact our communities and impact all of us in our quality of life, to the tune of $500 billion a year in this country, that we can attribute to us investing in addressing the challenges and the disparities related to poverty. So we at Michigan State University have been in this game for a while, and we are particularly pleased to be able to partner with all of you in really advancing this agenda further.
Jenny, it suggests, what Sonia suggests is it's really a multidisciplinary issue.
It is. There's education, there's health equity, there's access to nutritious food, there's having the resources to actually take the time to prepare nutritious food at home. All of these things come into play. That's part of the reason it's a community level problem. We can't just say, you know, this family needs to solve their crisis themselves. That's not going to work. It's a moral imperative, I absolutely agree. It's an economic imperative, and it's how a functioning society takes care of its citizens and prepares for the future. So thinking about all the different aspects of life that come into play, transportation, access to jobs, all of these things are impacted by the investment we make in our children.
Sonia, you've got a lot of faculty on the ground here and other people associated with Michigan State. What are some of the activities that are currently underway?
We do, and we have had sustained engagement here specifically in the city of Detroit for a very, very long time. That is why you will see faculty and researchers from the College of Osteopathic Medicine, College of Nursing, here and present in the city addressing issues of health disparities. You will see our faculty who are from the College of Communication, or College of Social Sciences, for example, and Dr. Carl Taylor and others who are addressing issues of housing conditions and neighborhood safety. You'll hear more, I imagine, from MSU Extension about the depth and breadth of their engagement in the city. And in our College of Education, we have faculty who have engaged in sustained research around really what makes a difference as far as what we can do and how we can, as we say, build the capacity of those who are closest to the children to make a difference in this regard. The parents and the caretakers and others. We know and we believe that there is a readiness and a willingness for those who are closest to children to engage with them in productive ways. So we feel an obligation as the university to provide what we know are some best practices and promising practices about that. I think we have a clip, and we have a faculty member in our college, Dr. Amy Parks, and this clip, it provides you sort of a concrete example of what I mean about giving parents and caretakers the sort of concrete tools that they need. Her work is around math development, developing early math skills in children through play. And if we can pull that clip, this will give you a concrete example of what I'm talking about.
One of the key things that we're trying to do in preschool is develop meaningful counting. The key is to keep it positive and fun.
I got 2 red.
So parents and children usually enjoy little games like this. I have beans here, and I painted one side red, but you could use any other small object that you have at your house. And with these, you can ask the children to turn them over and then to count how many are white and how many are red. You want to encourage them to touch each one as they count. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then after they count, ask, so how many is that? And if they have cardinality, they'll say 4. And if they don't, they may go back and count again. And that means they're still developing that skill. They need more practice.
1, 2, 3.
This recognition that when we say the number words, we're actually naming a quantity, which is what cardinality is something that is really important for kids to develop.
I'd like to thank Susie Elkins from WKAR and again, the College of Communications, Arts and Sciences for helping us. But this is the kind of messaging we intend to do between the programming that you will see on Detroit PBS Kids. And what part of our strategy here is to provide the adults who are surrounding the child with some tips, with some opportunities to engage with the children in their lives in a engage them in a very positive way, and that's so critically important, isn't it?
It is very important. We have to remember that even families in crisis, those adults are resilient. They've already been through a lot. They just need some really specific supports. And one of those supports is knowing how to interact with their kids in a healthy way. You know, Rich talked about superheroes and what are our superpowers. We all have those superpowers, and part of our powers are that we can help the adults who are taking care of the kids, whether they're parents, whether they're other family members, whether they're paid or unpaid child care providers. We can help all of them to be superheroes for the children in their lives by showing them what kinds of activities they can do with their kids that are not complicated, they're not expensive, but they're so critical to child development.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that is one of the tremendous value added for the involvement of an institution like Michigan State University, where we have faculty and researchers who are invested in giving us insight into what works and what makes a difference. People, I think, are often driven to wanting to do something when we're faced with challenges such as this. But at Michigan State, we're clear about the fact that what we want to do, we know makes a difference. And the research efforts of faculty like Dr. Parks and others is one way in which we're able to accomplish that goal.
Yeah. What do you see as some of the opportunities, having this asset in the market that we're bringing to the market? What do you see as some of the opportunities?
So an initial obvious opportunity is that a lot of our kids who are in regular care, it is custodial care, right? Mm-hmm. They might be, the TV might be in front of them for a significant part of the day, or they might have a tablet or something like that that they're looking at. The opportunity to encourage kids and the adults who are watching them to at least tune into Detroit PBS Kids is significant. There are a lot of really valuable educational programs on there. The little interstitial moments are really key. Mm-hmm. I love the focus on promoting what works, right? Having an evidence base. So I think that this is a really great opportunity for us to immediately have some impact on the kids in our community.
We also mentioned when we talked about there's lots of resources in the community, mm-hmm. but parents aren't finding them.
Yeah, so there are so many underutilized resources in the community, from United Way's funded early learning communities to, I'm sure, numerous programs that MSU is involved with and other things. So part of the opportunity here is to use Detroit PBS Kids to connect parents to all of these other resources, whether they're through little ad spots or, you know, all sorts of things, using the app to connect parents and families and kids. So there are really a lot of supports available that if we can just drive awareness of how accessible these things are, that they're free, here's how you access them, that's really key, because media, you know, channels, that's really how we can drive that kind of awareness.
Right. I think there is another opportunity that comes to mind, especially from the perspective of higher ed. We are, of course, invested in preparing the future professionals and others who will serve in this setting. And this gives us another tool that we can give them in how they can build their own capacity, expand their own impact in ways that the developing and the learning and the growing is not solely something that has to happen among those who are residing within the community. It also has to happen with those of us who are serving and working in those communities, so that we know that what we are doing is indeed what needs to be done, is indeed what's effective, and meets the shared goals and agendas that we have. So I can see a lot of this also playing a role for us in higher ed in our professional preparation efforts.
And I think it also gives us, each individual one of us, it gives us an opportunity to say, what is my role in this system, right? What can I do? Maybe I'm not an educator, or I'm not, you know, I'm not involved with the university, but what can I do very tangibly, very concretely to help connect the parents in our community, the child care providers in our community with valuable resources? We all have a role to play there.
So I think you get a sense of the need. The urgency that we have, and that hopefully we look at Detroit PBS Kids as being an important new connecting asset and, if you will, rally point for early childhood. And it's not just an over-the-air channel, it's a streaming channel. Leslie will give you details, but it's also in many ways a culmination of the kind of on-the-ground effort that Tara and her group will talk about. We're going to hold questions at this point. There will be an opportunity a little later on for you to meet and greet and talk to the panelists. But I want to thank you very much for your attention, and look forward to having you join us on the air, online, and in our work in the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. What we can tell from the panel, of course, is that partnerships are so important. Our partnership with Detroit Public TV, Michigan State University, of course, the Children's Hospital Foundation of Michigan, and other community partners like Jenny. So thank you for that. The other key partnership is, of course, right in the name of the channel, Detroit PBS Kids. As Senior Vice President and General Manager of Children's Media and Education at PBS, Lesli Rotenberg is responsible for strategic direction of an innovative, dynamic media service that meets the needs of America's children, parents, teachers, caregivers, that allows us to prepare the next generation for success in school and in life. Under her leadership, PBS has transformed from a broadcast organization to a multimedia platform leader that opens up worlds of possibilities for children. She's also led the development and distribution of top-rated PBS Kids media properties that help children 2 through 8 build their skills in science, literacy, math, critical thinking, social, emotional areas, and more. Lesli joins us today to speak about how Detroit PBS Kids and PBS Digital and Educational Services support and address the needs in Detroit and in cities like Detroit nationwide. Please welcome Lesli Rotenberg.
Thank you. What I am feeling today is great joy. And I'm going to admit something to you in this room of friends that I never tell anyone. And I was always embarrassed about growing up. And that is that Joy is my middle name. But as a kid, Joy as a middle name is not something you go bragging about. Right now, today, I'm feeling great joy about what we all are doing together and what we're building together. So I'm thrilled to be here with you to celebrate the exciting launch of the Detroit PBS Kids channel. Rich Homburg was one of the earliest and most enthusiastic cheerleaders of this new initiative. I remember when we spoke about it, but when it was just an idea, he was on board from day one. In fact, because of their long-standing leadership in the early childhood space, Detroit Public Television was one of the stations that we worked with when we were researching the best ways to expand the PBS Kids service to reach more low-income families, which led us to decide to launch this groundbreaking new channel in the first place. President Simon talked about design and build together, and that's really what we've been doing for the past almost 3 years, is designing and building together with people like Rich, who is a really important voice in the PBS community. You all don't see this aspect, but Rich Homburg sits on the PBS board and has a strong influence on other general managers of other PBS stations around the country. And we knew this was something that we needed to build from the ground up and that it needed to work for every community. And so his voice was really important around that table. DPTV is also a leader within the PBS system in forging innovative partnerships to extend their mission, their reach, and their impact. And this partnership, the partnership with Michigan State University, is the most significant of these initiatives. And it's a model that we hope other stations will explore. So today I'm taking notes. I'm going to share it with other stations. It's truly an honor to be here with you at MSU and to be included in this gathering of people who share my passion and commitment to helping every child learn, grow, and succeed. Being in this kind of company reminds me of one of public media's most beloved pioneers, Mr. Rogers. Now, Fred Rogers put children at the center of everything he did, and he believed in their boundless potential. He also believed that television was a powerful tool that could be used for good at a time when that idea was truly revolutionary. Today, PBS and Detroit Public Television remain committed to the power of media. In fact, we believe that it is among our most powerful tools to reach, to teach, and to engage children, setting them on a path for success and unlimited possibilities in life. We also believe in the promise of all children, as President Simon discussed. We see kids as curious, empathetic, and resilient little explorers who are the masters of their own learning and discovery. So I'm especially excited that so many of you here today share this dedication to our nation's youngest learners. From the on-the-ground team at DPTV, who I've spent a lot of time with, and you could not find a more committed group of people, to like-minded partners like Michigan State University and all of you here today, and supporters like the Children's Hospital of Michigan Foundation, led by Larry Burns. At PBS, we share your unwavering commitment to putting kids first and a hopeful vision for their future. In fact, that's our true north. It's one of the key differentiators that sets us apart in today's kids' media landscape. And it's the reason why today we're standing at the precipice of what will be PBS and DPTV's biggest, most revolutionary launch in terms of the impact that it will have on children's lives since Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, the new 24/7 Detroit PBS Kids channel. This channel represents a big step forward in our collective mission to use the power of media to open worlds of possibilities for all of America's children. With the launch of the Detroit PBS Kids channel, our trusted, valued, and scientifically proven content will be available to all kids anytime on TV and streaming everywhere. The PBS Kids channel will be the only free national kids TV service available to America's children. This is really a game changer. The 24/7 service combines what we know about how children are using media today with a vision for how they'll be using it in the future. A future in which all kids have equal, unrestricted access to PBS's high-quality educational television. We've developed this new service in response to a great deal of research about how today's kids use media. Here's an overview on video.
PBS Kids believes all children can succeed in school and life.
There's no other broadcast service that is doing what PBS Kids does, both in broadcast and in digital. It's second to none in this country. Fred was a pioneer in children's television, and he believed in PBS. He believed in what PBS provided in terms of quality to families and children. So we've taken that legacy, and we're moving forward.
Children mostly watch TV during evenings and weekends. That's why we're launching a new television channel available 24/7, anytime, anywhere.
The medium that kids love the most, that they spend by far the most time with, is still TV. So if we can expand that opportunity to 24 hours a day, that's just a huge benefit.
Parents need and look for trusted partners. And one of the responsibilities PBS has is to set a standard for viewing.
PBS Kids, now 24/7 on television, tablet, and mobile devices. A live video stream with integrated games, enabling children to toggle between their favorite show and a supported activity. It will boost learning like never before, especially for those who need it most.
We know PBS Kids educational content works. This is especially true for the kids who are from lower income families.
It's a great unexplored area, both for PBS and for Henson. My father realized that there really was a strong impact that could be made through the media. We're so proud of our collaborations with PBS Kids. The 24/7 channel is the natural next step.
PBS Kids, 24/7, anytime, anywhere. Opening worlds of possibilities for all of America's children.
So as you saw in the video, this new service will allow us to be available and accessible to children anytime and anywhere. And as we mined data about how children are using media, what we discovered was the majority of children are using live television. It's kind of a surprise to people in this day and age because we think of all kids as being on devices, and certainly there are a lot of children using devices, but the vast majority of viewing still takes place on live television. And the hours that are the most popular for kid viewing are in the evening. There's twice as much viewing by children of live television in the evening than the morning. So this was a natural evolution. It's especially important for low-income and Hispanic families who watch even more television in the evening than the general population. So we studied all children, and then we looked at very specific cohorts and discovered this phenomenon of even more viewing taking place at these peak critical viewing times. Low-income families are more likely to rely on television for children's educational content and are often underconnected with limited access, limited internet reliable access, I should say, or computer access. The channel will also provide a vital service to kids who rely solely on over-the-air television. So those children who are in over-the-air homes without cable, without satellite, represent 13% of the overall US population, and yet they view 3 times as much PBS. Their viewing makes up 37% of PBS's total weekday viewing. So that's a really important audience for us. At the same time, we're being responsive to children's growing use of digital platforms. That's why the new service will be offered as a digital live stream on our website, on the free PBS Kids video app, and through Detroit Public Television through their website. The app can be downloaded for free on mobile and tablet devices, pretty much every device, any device you can find. We've tested it on every single one. And it also comes preloaded on a brand new device called the PBS Kids Playtime Pad. This is a tablet, a children's tablet, designed specifically to meet the needs of our audience, of a low-income audience. The Playtime Pad gives families a low-cost tablet option, and it comes fully equipped with our educational content so that stations like DPTV can bring PBS Kids research-based media into underserved communities anytime and anywhere. And as many of you know, a lot of the work that we do is on the ground in the community, And there's a need to have access to tablets that don't cost a lot of money to be able to engage a lot of children. This tablet, at the lowest price point that you can find in the market, preloaded with all the PBS Kids content, is going to give us that opportunity. It will also give us the opportunity to provide kids with a really engaging educational experience when they're not connected to the internet. Shortly after the launch of the new service, we're going to roll out a groundbreaking interactive gaming component, allowing children to toggle between videos and activities that are designed to extend the learning. Now, this innovation is grounded in years of research demonstrating that the combination of games and video leads to better learning outcomes. Data from numerous studies shows that when kids are able to explore a concept in more than one way, on more than one platform, they come away with a better understanding of that concept than they would by engaging in just one standalone activity. And when it comes to moving the needle in learning and engagement, the interactive live stream is just the tip of the iceberg. So our long-term vision is really to put kids in the driver's seat of their own experience, to allow them to follow their own interests. We know that kids learn best when they're really interested in something and passionate about it. So why shouldn't they be able to drive their own media experience, finding the things that they like to watch, then immediately connecting to games that are interactive that allow them to go deeper and extend their own learning, and then to go to hands-on activities with their parents, with their caregivers, with their teachers, so that they're really making the most of the media experience. The idea is to match their interest and their learning abilities, all using media. We know that every child learns differently and that new technology gives us the ability to really personalize that experience, to meet their needs and to develop tools to help caregivers and teachers build on that learning. And this is the beginning of continuing to iterate, to design and build together, and to really personalize that experience. There's no limit to what we can do on this new platform. The Detroit PBS Kids 24/7 channel will help us ensure that the best educational content is available anytime, anywhere, to as many children as possible. From kids who live in low-income homes where TV is their only media touch point, to children who are up in the wee hours of the morning in pediatric hospitals across the country. Providing our trusted educational content to all children, anytime and anywhere, will extend our mission to meet the needs of today's kids and tomorrow's. And that's critical because we know that PBS Kids is unlike any other media resource. It's proven to help kids succeed. In a world where so much of children's programming is created to sell toys, PBS Kids stands apart as the gold standard. We see our viewers as citizens, not consumers, and we measure our success in the number of lives that we touch, in the impact that we have on children's learning and their positive development, and in our service to the most underserved kids in our country. It's this commitment to putting children first that has led to our success in reaching families across America. PBS Kids today reaches more kids 2 to 5 across this country and more children in low-income homes than any other media organization. So just imagine what we can do now that we can extend this. We're also leading the way when it comes to parent trust. Year after year, parents rank PBS Kids as their most trusted and relied upon kids media brand. This isn't surprising when you consider how rigorous and thoughtful our approach is to developing children's media. Everything we do is created with kids' developmental needs at the core. We start every new series, all of our development, with a need. So that's really different from anyone else in children's media. We start with what it is we're setting out to accomplish from a child development need and perspective. And then we work with child development and education experts to understand exactly what young kids need in order to get their learning off to the right start. Sometimes these are cognitive skills like early literacy, sometimes like the foundational math skills that you saw in the last video that kids are going to build on once they start their formal schooling. Other times the learning is social emotional. It's lessons in how to share, how to make friends with someone who's different from you, or what to do when you're feeling too upset or when you can't manage your emotions. We call this our whole child approach. And what you see here is our content mapped to children's needs. It's an iterative process. It's designed and built together. We're constantly working with child development specialists to identify different needs that we can then address through media content. So let's take a look at a video showing what today's kids are learning from PBS Kids.
PBS Kids, where an educator-developed curriculum plan is built into every program, which helps kids prepare for school and unlock their true potential.
What are we waiting for?
Science.
Wow, the chameleon changes color. Maybe the best way to learn the planets is to go look at them.
Nature is pretty amazing.
Backyard explorer extraordinaire.
Math.
Sorting is when you separate things based on size or shape or whatever. 8 got taken away. That means subtracting.
Engineering.
If you're building a windmill, you need sails. He just had to put them together.
Literacy.
Word up! Way to go, super readers!
Social and emotional development.
I just didn't realize how hurt you were, but now I do.
Now that is empathy.
Think about how someone else is feeling.
I'll help you, Thomas. Hooray! Onward and onward!
PBS Kids is definitely making an impact. Our tested and proven content,
math really saved our show,
has made PBS Kids the leader in school readiness.
So we work with curriculum advisors in every case to understand how to approach each of these topics in an age-appropriate way. So we have it mapped for 2-year-olds where they are developmentally 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we capture all these important subject areas that you saw in the video. And what we do is we build a framework. If you looked at these things, they're about this thick. But there are frameworks that we're developing because they really don't exist for younger than kindergarten. We're building them for early learning, for every curriculum area, every skill that is essential for kids to learn at each developmental stage. Once that's all designed and built, then we reach out and we partner with the world's most creative children's media creators. And there we charge them with developing the characters, the storylines. How do we bring this to life in a way that we can actually build those skills, but really engage kids in the process? And then the final step, and probably the most important, is to test our content. We test it to make sure that it's delivering on its educational goals. We're always testing in low-income communities. And the whole process is incredibly time-consuming and costly, which is why no other media company engages in developing media just this way. But it's critically important to what we do because it's all about our mission. So this is really the secret sauce about what makes PBS content. As you can see on this slide, years of research have proven that PBS Kids content has a positive impact on everything from literacy and math skills to behavior. Our content moves the needle in preparing kids for success in school and in life, with children from low-income communities making the greatest gains. One recent study found that engaging children from low-income families with PBS Kids series Odd Squad helped to boost important math knowledge and skills. In the study, researchers from West Ed worked with first grade teachers, students, and their parents in school and home settings over 4 weeks. The materials used in the classroom and at home included Odd Squad episodes, online games, video clips, and hands-on activities. Over the course of the intervention, students' overall knowledge of algebraic thinking and numbers and operations increased significantly. In addition, parents and teachers reported that the materials boosted children's interest in math and problem solving. This study and many more underscores the important role that parents and teachers play in helping kids learn along with media. In fact, the grown-ups in children's lives are among the key elements in what we call the learning ecosystem. Our goal is to leverage our collective resources to the fullest to surround kids with learning experiences and strengthen that whole educational ecosystem. This centers on children. Children are always at the center of our work, but it relies on teachers, parents, DPTV, and the community to support children's learning. Trusted, educational, and proven content is only one piece of the puzzle and one part of our story. We know that learning truly depends on relationships. Learning is relationships. And so those human relationships are critical to really driving impact. All of our years of success in reaching and teaching children rely on having boots on the ground in the community to mediate the experience and to deliver it to our nation's most underserved populations. So when it comes to the community piece of this puzzle, stations like DPTV are integral and essential. They serve as the education hub in their communities, partnering with other like-minded organizations like MSU and so many of you in this room to surround children, parents, and teachers with learning opportunities. Community connections build on our national content, bringing it to life. Our goal is to have every station achieve what DPTV is doing right here in Michigan with Michigan State University, engaging the children, teachers, parents, and partners who are part of your local community to help move the needle in learning. These efforts start early. It's at this time in a child's life, as you heard on the last panel, that most of the critical brain development takes place. By the time a child turns 5, his or her brain has already grown to 90% of its adult size. During these first few years, DPTV plays an invaluable role, offering media and resources that center around children and their needs. One of their major projects in this area is Preschool U, an initiative that offers video-based classes to parents and caregivers to promote early learning and literacy in children under 5. DPTV is currently working with MSU's College of Education to expand this effort through new content and innovative research opportunities. Work like this is especially critical when you consider that more than half of all children nationwide don't have the opportunity to attend preschool. And as we saw in Georgianne's chart right here in Detroit, we're talking about 2/3. So in light of this research, the really critical role that parents and caregivers play in early education comes to light. In fact, research on the local level has proven that the program is effective. A recent evaluation found that Preschool U curriculum is strong in both helping prepare kids for school and in empowering parents, giving them that confidence that they can help their children learn. Building on their success in early learning, Detroit Public Television extends their education efforts into the formal learning space with PBS Learning Media. It's a curated digital hub for PBS content that teachers can leverage for students from preschool through high school. It has national content, it has local content. It's all set to help teachers with the standards that they have, both at the state level and at the national level. And finally, DPTV offers viewers of all ages tools to be lifelong learners through programming that engages and inspires, covering science, history, and more, from Nova to Masterpiece. For an organization like DPTV that's also connected to the community when it comes to education, the Detroit PBS Kids channel is a natural next step. And so today, it's truly a beautiful day in this neighborhood as we celebrate the launch of the 24/7 Detroit PBS Kids channel. This groundbreaking effort will extend DPTV's longstanding commitment to serving families and advancing education outcomes, helping every child in the Detroit area to succeed, to flourish, and to discover their unlimited possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. So in addition to the research and the vision, Detroit PBS Kids goes beyond the channel with outward-facing grassroots efforts to engage the community. As a fast emerging leader in the education space, we find the need to grow our capabilities, our capacities, and explore new tactics to better serve. Our next panel will focus on how DPTV is in partnership with MSU Extension is using Detroit PBS Kids services to do a real engagement. Moderating the discussion is our staff educator, Tara Hardy. Tara.
Hello and welcome. I am Tara Hardy. I am the staff educator at this station, also known as the person who does a lot of the on-the-ground work. We've been really excited about this channel launch. We've been listening, we've been out there and doing, and we've got some great partners that we brought here with us today that we want to give you a little glimpse of some of the things that we have been doing in the community. So I just to give you a little background about myself, I come from a long line of early childhood research, and I was active in the classroom before I landed at Detroit Public Television. I am a little bit green. I had one of my degrees from Michigan State for my master's degree. But I found that I am very good at sharing, and I'm very good at working with multiple partners because I did teach kindergarten for 3 years, and everything you need to know you learned in kindergarten. But I also have learned that prepping people for that really important year of learning everything you need to know is also equally important. So what I'd like to do next is introduce the great people on both sides of me. So I'll introduce Rhonda first. And Rhonda, if you could just tell us who you are and where you come from.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Mallory Burns. I am the Director of Development Center's Early Head Start program. We're located in the city of Detroit, so we represent Thrive by 5 with our grantee being Starfish in Detroit Early Head Start. In our Detroit Early Head Start program, we service pregnant moms in home base as well as in center base from ages 0 to 3. And then in our Thrive by 5 Detroit, we service families from birth to 5. And we have just center-based option as well as early head start.
Okay. And then over here we have Julie Chapin from MSU. Would you like to tell us about yourself?
Hi, thank you. I'm Julie Chapin, and I serve as the director for the Children and Youth Institute with Michigan State University Extension. Extension is the outreach component of Michigan State University, as land-grant university, and we're located in every community across the state. And my background, I've been with Extension for 36 years, so a long time. Started when I was very young. But my background is in education with an emphasis in adult education, helping those who are, and an emphasis in youth development as well. So helping those who work with children, parents, volunteers, community members, other professionals in education, build their skills in how to work effectively with children around learning. So in our institute, as a component of Extension, we are really focused on children and youth from birth through age 19 and the adults who support them, whether it's parents or child care providers, volunteers through our 4-H Youth Development Program, any of those venues and other partners in youth development that we work with, helping to prepare them to be successful in the future. So that includes early childhood education, as well as self-directed, youth-focused learning that happens in the community base, not in the out-of-school time. So we connect that in-school learning with out-of-school time opportunities. Our early childhood programming is really helping parents and child care providers to prepare young children with early literacy skills and school readiness focus. So it's a great overlap and a great connection with some common mission there that this is really a great partnership opportunity for us from that perspective.
One of the things that is crucial in my mind, and when we are choosing partners and when we're navigating where we can make the biggest impact, is to really spend some time in the areas where we want to work. To really get to form these relationships with the people that we are trying to impact. So one of the ways we started doing that was with Rhonda's group, where we named the development centers as one of our partners for a grant that we're working through called the Ready to Learn grant. And through this grant, we've spent some time on site with Rhonda and with a lot of the parents and a lot of the children that she currently serves. And one of the things that we discovered being on site was that they have these openings for preschool, and they have neighbors in the community that could be in these openings, but they were having trouble getting that connection made. So one of the things they did is a recruitment fair, and we asked if we could be a part of that, and we started collaborating on it and realized that one of our superpowers is Super Y. And so we decided to pick Super Y and bring Super Y to their site and to look for the superpowers within the children in the community there. So as parents saw the big lights and saw the flashy things and the petting animals through the fence in this parking lot, I think your average was 25 families before we came. We maxed at 150 people came to this event. And as kids walked in, we asked them if we could put a cape on them, and we asked them what their superpower was. And they said things like, I'm a good friend, or I like to read, or I know my numbers, or I'm good at breaking my little brother and sister apart when they're fighting. Like little things that building resilience and building grit is something that I'm, with both of my partners here, we've really found that it's really at the heart of what we want to do here with the families in Detroit and spending time in Detroit. And just myself, who does not currently live in Detroit, it's something that I want for my own self, is I want to have resilience and I want to have grit. And I want my own children to have that as well. So that's been leading our focus. So one of the ways we've done that with Rhonda's site is we do parent sessions as well, where we go in, and the Preschool U that we discussed earlier is one of the programs that we've been starting to do with her group. And I think the parents have been pretty receptive to us coming in. Is that your feeling as well?
Yes, most definitely. But Tara, I would like to start from the beginning, how we originally established a partnership. As Tara mentioned, that recruitment for us is so vital when you're trying to sustain funding for early Head Start and Head Start. And I reached out to one of my staff members and I said, can you touch bases with Detroit Public Television and see how they can support us as recruiting? And at that moment, I think that phone call turned into, well, hey, let's meet. Let's talk about some things and how we can support one another. So we came in almost a year ago, had that meeting, and from there it's just been phenomenal. Working with Detroit Public Television, in the spring we had the recruitment fair where we was geared for a family engagement activity for our families, but the community came out. A lot of the neighboring home child care facilities came out and joined us, which was great because we want to make impact in the community, encouraging families to come out when we do different events. So when we had that exceeded number of families and new families to come out, that was really wonderful. So our first session with our parents was at one of our sites in 48227, where they came once a week for, I believe it was a 4 to 6 week session. And at this site we have 33 families, and their parent group over there is very strong. We didn't get the turnout, but we got enough where we knew that this still would be beneficial for families in learning and how to engage their children through age-appropriate activities. And a lot of the families didn't know that some of the apps were related to social and emotional when you talk about Daniel the Tiger. So it was a learning experience for them. So now we're going to select another site in collaboration with Detroit Public Schools, because I do have a GSRP program in the Detroit Public Schools. So it's not just geared for our program, it's going to be geared opening up to see if they would get the buy-in as well, so we can get more of the community involved.
Thank you. And then Julie, we have been combining forces as well. We've realized that we both have quite an army out there, that as we share parallel goals, we've learned different ways to enhance the work that both of us are doing. So one of the ways we've partnered is we have a biweekly newsletter that we send out to, I think, 17,000 families is what we're up to at the moment. And then you have some folks that you also amplify this.
We do, yep.
So we've joined, and we just got off a phone call yesterday planning for this year on what our topics would be. So we found that the MSU resources with the research backing it is something that we can easily, just as a real easy step, bring to some of the audiences that we're working with. So that's one way that we've collaborated. Other ways that we've collaborated, would you like to talk a little bit about that?
I think one of the exciting pieces has been the newsletter and the connections because MSU Extension has a new site on our web that's a very robust site with informational, educational articles geared for the public on various topics, and we found such great overlap between what our staff and educators are writing about related to needs and issues and opportunities for youth development, child development, and the work that's going on. Being able to integrate Preschool U into the community-based programming that Extension is doing across the state. We're doing it here in Detroit with what's going on with DPTV, but we've had all of our staff, our early childhood staff, trained in Preschool U, and they're incorporating it into the community-based programming we're doing in early childhood, launching one in the Cadillac area coming up, and over in the Detroit, we're in the Grand Rapids area, will also be another one coming up that our staff will be giving leadership to extend that capacity. And I think those are really positive things. In addition, with Extension as the outreach component of Michigan State University, one of the roles we play and can play well is helping to connect the faculty, both the College of Education, there's a partnership there in the Preschool U piece, but broader than that around creation of that interstitial information and those videos that will play between programs, connecting faculty with opportunities to inform their research around what we're learning through the work that's going on with DPTV. We're looking for opportunities and think there will be lots of opportunities for us to enhance what we do at the community level, because so much of our approach to programming are similar. We're based on experiential, family engagement approach to programming, helping parents to actively engage their children in learning, not just parking them in front of a television that gets criticized so much. There's so many things on this channel and with PBS that is active learning, that is engagement, and the resources of Extension in our youth development programs and our early childhood programs, additional extended lessons would be great that can be used to enhance that. And so those are opportunities that we're working towards now.
Well, we are really excited about the work that we've been doing with these partners sitting next to me and the numerous partners that we're working with in the community. We can't do what we're doing alone. We are very easy to play with. Like I said, I'm leading a lot of the education work, and my background is in early childhood, so I will make sure that we play safely. But this is just a very small piece of some of the work that we're doing, and we're really excited about it. So I'd like to thank both of you and tell you that we're really excited to continue this work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As our wave.
All right, Tara, thank you. From a production standpoint, one of the things that we're doing when you watch the channel is in between the programs, for all the learning that goes on for children, there's also teachable moments for parents, many new parents, caregivers, and others. So with the assistance of MSU Extension, we are putting early childhood experts on our air and creating what we call 30-second theater, introducing concepts and tips for parents and caregivers that are all intended to drive folks for more information to robust online resources from PBS Kids, Michigan State, and others. So that's just one of the ways we're engaging that audience from a production standpoint. Well, it's a lot about partnerships, of course, and all of this great work wouldn't be possible without them. I'd like to welcome up right now Jamie Westrick, who is our Senior Vice President of Development at DPTV, to talk about opportunities for you to help and get engaged. Jamie.
Thanks, Fred. Good morning. So I get the fun part of connecting this amazing work that you're hearing about today with the financial support that we need in order to keep it sustainable and to grow our capabilities. So as you heard from Tara and our partners, this reference of a development center event, that opportunity came from Skillman Foundation's support this summer from their My Brother's Keeper initiative. And so I want to acknowledge them because it is from partner support that allows us to keep this great work going. It's from individuals, it's from corporate support, and so again, thank you to our sponsors here today. But I want to take you back. If you've got children, you've been here, you recognize that magical moment of learning the ABCs, of conquering the potty, and like, oh my gosh, potty time is here and diapers are done, and getting a child trained, handling those emotional meltdown moments. We've all been there, right? But then the first signs of reading. And those moments escape us pretty quickly. I recognize it because I have 3 under the age of 6. And I realize with my little one, like, oh boy, I forgot about this. And he's only a year and a half. And so I want to take you back to that moment. And if you're a grandparent, you're revisiting that moment again. But us parents who are in that 2 to 8-year-old stage, you're there in the trenches every day. And Detroit Public Television is uniquely in the home every day, serving over 500,000 with this unique capability of 24/7, 7 days a week, launching on Monday. But then when you take that capability and you put us in the community, on the ground, with Tara's work, with this engagement effort, with your partnership, but also your financial support, that allows us to maximize that impact to the fullest. And so it's through partnerships, it's through that financial support that we can grow, and we can do so much more in terms of creating that positive parent interaction to building resiliency. And so we ask for your partnership. We ask for you to raise your hand and say, we need to meet. We need to talk about what we can do together to grow this amazing superpower of public media. And that's going to include that 24/7 channel. It's going to maintain that great work on our main channel of the current 56 hours of service. But currently today, we are operating at $3.5 million in operating this current level of service. And that still comes with a gap of that $215,000 annually. To fill that gap and to grow this capability, our vision over the next 5 years is to more than double our investment in kids and education in this community and serving this region. Really taking the model that you heard this morning, taking the amazing curriculum-based assets of connecting with kids through the power of PBS and uniquely engaging with parents here on a local level of this community and expanding that model statewide thanks to our partnership with Michigan State University and Extension Services, but taking that model on a national scale, working with other land-grant universities across the country, working with PBS and our fellow stations across the country. That is the opportunity in front of us. So we invite you and we look forward to meeting with you, and thank you for your support and your partnership and joining us here today.
Thank you. Well, on behalf of all of us at the station, MSU Extension, the university, our partners at Children's Hospital of Michigan Foundation, and our new partners, and of course, including Leadership Detroit 36, best class ever, who are here today. Thank you so much for helping us with this. It's going to be terrific. It launches Monday, and we do feel it's a unique opportunity to make a strong impact. What's key about the station is it's free, it's available to everyone. It's the first channel launch in a long time in this market, and it's about the best idea for a television channel that any of us can think of, with partnerships, of course, being the key and the core to all of this. So it launches Monday, Martin Luther King Day, over the air in Detroit. It will be broadcast on 56.2 and on selected cable providers. So they're putting that up on cable more and more as we move forward. It'll be simultaneously streamed live on the internet and viewable through Detroit PBS Kids and the PBS Kids app. So with that, on behalf of all of us, thanks for being here. Great day.